So, welcome back to the Cloud Computing Insider, where we talk about the emerging world of cloud computing and how to make it work for your enterprise and also the realities behind it. What technologies out there working, who's the leading thought in the space, how it's evolving, and how enterprises are making good at the promise of bringing value back to cloud computing. My name's Dave Linthicum, author, speaker, B-list geek, and here as a host today. And also joining me today is Dmitry Panenkov, and he's got 2 decades of experience in the tech industry. His focus has been on building his company called Emma. We'll talk about that, a pioneering cloud management platform supporting by dedicated and innovative teams. And man, you have a pretty impressive career, Dimitri. You started in network engineering in 2002, including strategic roles in sales and business development, industry-leading companies. And you're definitely clearly a thought leader in the business right now. We see your name everywhere, and also associated with this kind of new movement to get complexity under control, which is something we've been dealing with probably for the last 10 years. And I've been formally dealing with it, writing books about it, writing articles about it. That's why it's great to have you here. So to fill you in on your experience and how you got to Emma and how you decided to work on this problem.
Yeah, first of all, hi, David. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all the warm words that you just shared. I mean, I never heard such a lot of things, great things about myself. Yeah, thanks. So indeed, I started my career 22 years ago as a system engineer at one of the biggest system integrators in the world. Then I made a few transitions and ended up building Emma. So basically in 2018, we realized that there is a broader problem with the cloud adoption, especially when we're talking about enterprises. So they already been using the private environments. They had data centers, and they started to leverage the different cloud platforms. So at first it was AWS, then Azure appeared, then Google jumped out, and all of these organizations, they had a similar problem. It was really hard to manage this variety of cloud environments, disconnected cloud environments. So that's why in 2018, we decided to stop building the platform called Emma to unify and to equalize actually this disconnected and disaggregated cloud environments.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem we're going to start discussing. And obviously, I've been part of that choir for a long period of time. Cloud technologies, I've been involved with cloud for a long time, longer than I care to admit, but it's moving to things that are more complex, more heterogeneous. The data problem, the ability to track cost across it, your ability to utilize these systems to get them into more of a better utilization state to bring more value back to the business has been creeping up on us for a long time. And one of the things I found out when I was working at Deloitte, suddenly that was the biggest hindrance to my success. In other words, we were moving to multi-cloud, whether you knew it or not. It was happening just because organically. People were, started out with AWS and they moved to Microsoft and they moved to Google. And the ability to leverage abstractions, the ability to leverage automation, the ability to leverage cloud management platforms was not just an optional thing, but it was mandatory to get the complexity stuff under control. And I probably, whether you knew it or not, I was a big advocate for that technology for a long period of time. And I think that the time is right where we're just seeing the peak of complexity now in all these various systems, where in many instances, cloud is bringing a negative value back to the business. So in other words, reality is great cloud services are doing all these great things for the business, but we can't get around the complexity issue and trying to build net new systems and trying to integrate these systems. The operational complexity around this stuff, the cost issues around this stuff, is not allowing the value to come back. And I think that's going to be the huge challenge right now. I mean, we're kind of distracted by the AI stuff, and I think that's going to have some importance in it. But the reality is we're not going to get AI right unless we get the complexity, the heterogeneity issue, the ability to get the data normalized. And the big thing is the ability to get costs under control, over these various systems. I'm about to release a video in a couple of weeks, talking about the cloud providers that are removing a lot of revenue from these business because of this issue. And so now we have to address it. And so we have to get to work, roll up our sleeves, leverage technology is going to be able to make it happen. So just looking at some data points, there's an IDC report. IDC writes about everything. 70% of the executives feel their organizations are experiencing increasing complexity. I would say that's 100%. I think the other 70% really just don't understand that it's there. And we're dealing with the data challenges. We're dealing with the impact of business value. And this really kind of is coming to a head in terms of our ability to see it. And just my own personal experience, I made a LinkedIn learning course 5 years ago called Cloud Complexity Management. When it came out, no one cared. Now it's one of their more best hit courses now. So people see the complexity challenge. People are moving their technology to solving this issue. People are thinking long and hard about how to make this happen. And I think it's the single most challenge. It's the complexity wall that sits in front of us right now, and we have to solve this issue. What's your take on all this?
No. Again, 100% agree. So integrating diverse cloud platforms in a multi-cloud infrastructure indeed brings numerous advantages, but it also significantly increases the operational complexity. So these complexities, they appear in the different fields, or you can see them everywhere. Interoperability, integration challenges is one of them. Security, compliance, operations, and monitoring, cost management, like you mentioned, right? And another one like is skill set and training requirements. So again, different platforms, different center of excellences. And yes, there are a lot of different things you need to have under control. Otherwise, it's nearly impossible to manage the variety of cloud service providers and the cloud platforms. And you're totally right when you're saying that this 70% shouldn't be 70, but 100%, because the other 30%, they simply do not realize that they have this problem. There's a customer of ours, when we started to work with these guys, they told us, oh, no, we're not in a multi-cloud. We were a single cloud. But we also have a private environment. And yeah, there are several regions where we don't have Azure. That's why we use another cloud service provider. I said, okay, isn't it a multi-cloud? And it is. So yes, 100% with you.
Yeah, I think, ultimately this comes down to education that needs to occur. That's why I'm happy that we're making this video, which is going to go out to a lot of people that kind of understand the issues. But the thing is, it's not just presenting the problem. It's one thing to come out and say, this is an issue, it's hard to solve, things like that. But actually, talking about concepts that are going to be able to take us to a solution. And I think that's happy as well. You guys at MR are working on stuff right now. So what conceptually do you think would be the solutions that come to bear? In other words, how should we start thinking about solving this problem? We know what the problem is, but there's probably 100 different concepts, 100 different paths to make it happen. How do we pick the best path?
There was a super cloud concept, and of course this concept, and I really like the approach. So I'm a strong believer that organizations and we as users, we want to get like a content, a picture on our screen, and we shouldn't care too much about the underlying problems and issues the content makers or the content delivery providers they face with, right? So we just want to turn on the TV, we want to launch a video, and we want to get this content, or for example, we want to use the application. So basically, it means that the application should be up and running 24/7, no matter what happens with the underlying infrastructure. And to make it happen, you need to equalize and standardize the variety of different environments, especially when we're talking about the reliability, disaster recovery, high availability, etc. So we at MR are strong believers in this equalization. So when you're building an overlay, let's say, that interconnects actually different cloud service providers one with another and make them work as a single society of a different environments, and they are unified. So you simply deploy your application and say, okay, scale when you need to scale, pick up the cheapest available instances that are available on a marketplace. That could be spot instances, that could be regular instances. You can also pick reserved instances. Oh yeah, if you need, you can commit on a certain period of time for this specific set of instances, and you get better discounts with a specific provider. Or if you don't like, you just simply take your commitment plan and push it to someone else. and you're free to move your workloads back and forth. So yeah, that's what we believe at Emma should happen in the nearest future. So the supercloud concept is very much, I think, aligned with what we are facing with right now.
Yeah, and what I like about your approach conceptually is that you're dealing with this very different platforms, different native cloud and clouds, different native interfaces, different ways of doing cost accounting, different ways of pricing on these various systems as kind of a single platform. So in other words, you're not dividing it up. You're using a common set of services that are able to automate utilization and optimization of these technologies across various systems, even making decisions or assisting in making decisions in the fact that there's other more value-added paths. You're able to find reserved instances. You're able to use less provision, fewer storage instances. Your ability to leverage different compute configurations, and certainly in the AI space now, everybody, throwing GPUs at the problem. In many instances, GPUs aren't necessarily going to be indicated, and so your ability to find out how much it costs and ability to understand how the cost impacts is going to be, and manage it at a configuration layer versus sitting down with the with whatever native interface that they have to adjust and provision resources is going to be a huge advantage, because we don't have to keep lots of people around who are capable of dealing with different native interfaces and different pricing systems, things like that.
The other day we had a conversation with the guys from the Cube, and we also were discussing this GPU AI thing. And the problem is that sometimes you experience the lack of the resources at the specific cloud service provider that you use. So, for example, with the platforms like Emma, where you can actually combine these different disconnected cloud accelerators, or let's say NVIDIA accelerators, to train your models, you can achieve the better results. So imagine you need 12 accelerators from NVIDIA, like H100, to train your model, and you see that Google has only 3, and AWS has another 3, and Azure has another 3, and there are 3 with I don't know, Vultr, for example. So right now, it's impossible to build like a single logical cluster to train your model. With the platforms like Emma, we make it possible. So you can actually deploy the cluster, and this cluster will be utilizing the underlying instances with the GPU accelerators, and these GPU accelerators will be logically connected into this cluster to support your training, your jobs with whatever you do.
So how are your customers and the market in general kind of accepting that and understanding how that's going to work? Because it's incredibly impressive to me, but I think the rank and file IT people, may take some time to understand the differences. So how would you approach them and make them understand how this is going to be a better solution than what they're doing today, which is nothing, leveraging whatever native tools that they have and configuring it that way?
So everyone today votes with their wallets, right? So normally we start with the most obvious and understandable part of our platform, cost reduction. So we normally reach out to these guys and we tell them, look, so our platform is free of charge, right? So we call it savings sharing model. In case there are savings, then we charge back a certain percentage out of the savings. And then it makes sense to the guys. So they like, okay, there is no risk, no cure, no pay, and all this type of things. So let's give it a try. And then when they transfer the smaller piece of their environment and they get this like real savings, they want to get more out of the platform. They want to transfer more of their infrastructure. And then they want to get more savings of the savings. And then they ask, okay, what else can we do? How else you can support us? And then we'll tell them, okay, guys, if you want to see the real magic, you gotta become a cloud agnostic company. So you can leverage the different cloud service providers, different managed services from these cloud service providers. You can interconnect them. You can pick up the cheapest, best available, whatever instances or services. And this is how you can actually get closer to higher numbers in savings. For example, one of our customers has saved around 87% because they moved from a single provider to this like cloud agnostic approach, where they can leverage the variety of cloud service providers one against another. And that's a super cool approach. And with a platform like ours, which is like super clear and super understandable, and I really want to show you how it works. So it is super, again, understandable what you need to do to achieve these results. You don't need to spin up another center of excellence. You don't need to hire more of these high-skilled professionals. So everything is there, everything is standardized, and everything is available with a few clicks. That's it.
Yeah, and that's I think it's important to make complexity non-complex. And so how did you make a decision how we're to deploy it? Is it whether it comes out of the on-prem infrastructure, on cloud infrastructure? So when you guys made a decision in terms of how this thing should be brought into the enterprises, how did you make the platform deployments that you made?
So again, we say it is a tool, and it's up to our customers to decide how to leverage this tool. So sometimes we see the customers who work primarily with the on-prem workloads, and then we tell them, okay, but in this case, you need to keep an overhead in your on-premises environments, like you need more servers to support any potential bursts in the traffic or the usage in case, I don't know, there is something that scales really fast, and you cannot simply predict that. So you need to keep these overheads. Instead of these overheads, you better use our platform, provision your private environment, and in case there is a burst in the usage, so you can leverage the clouds, right? And this will help you to avoid these overheads in the hardware. And that also works the other way around. So for example, when the companies, they are cloud native, and then they realize the other day that it became too expensive to be a cloud native company, and they start this repatriation process. And when they start this repatriation process, they realize there are no managed services available in the private environments, right? So you gotta build your own self-hosted solutions. So, and again, with Emma, you can still use this managed services from the cloud service providers while you're provisioning your, I don't know, bare metal servers. So again, it is a tool, and it's up to you how to use it and utilize the capabilities. We can only show you the way.
Yeah, and we're going to get into your technology in a minute. And just one last kind of thing that I'd like to go through. So this comes down into KPIs, key performance indicators, for how we're going to measure the performance of these various systems. And again, I'm a computer science nerd. I'm not a finance nerd. But more and more, I'm dragged into these discussions in terms of us defining the business value of these various instances. So when you're working with clients, what kind of metrics are they looking to get out of your environment to kind of prove out what you just mentioned, your ability to get to a much more utilized state, cost-efficient state, things like that? What kind of triggers them as something to say, I get it, I understand that's important to me, and I should have done this a long time ago?
So normally, all the KPIs, they are related to the costs, time to market. So when you release the products faster, and your competitive advantages, right? So you build something better, faster, more reliable than your colleagues. For example, we have another customer we work with, one of the biggest farm company in the world. So they simply cannot afford themselves to be single cloud, to be locked in the single cloud, I'd say. And for them, this is a big competitive advantage, that they leverage different platforms, they leverage all these services that these platforms can offer. And on top of that, they do not have a lot of people to manage these environments, and they don't have a platform engineering team, because they are developers, they interact with our platform, and they can spin up whatever resource they need to deploy their applications faster than the other organizations that would do this with the internal platform development team, or without this internal platform development teams. So yeah, again, the metrics First of all, the cost reduction. Secondly, time to market. And the third one is your competitive advantages that you get using the platform.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what the business is interested in right now. So let's kind of switch gears and take a look at your technology in general. Can you give us kind of an overview of what it is? And we would love to see a demo and how it works directly. And I bet you have something ready to go.
Yeah, sure. You should see my screen right now. So you see it, right?
I can.
Okay, awesome. This is the main dashboard. So first of all, we need to understand that our platform is built on top of a networking backbone that physically connects different cloud service providers one with another. And also our platform is a set of microservices, and these microservices, they interact one with another through the API gateway. So this dashboard or this UI that you see also is a microservice that interacts with the other microservice, for example, deployment or cost management or networking pod. So these are the microservices, and they interact one with another through the API gateway. So you can do everything that I do here. Clicking in the interface, you can automate these things. You can use Terraform, for example, or Ansible, or whatever automation tool you prefer. And you can do this through the CLI, or you can create a script. So this is the main dashboard that shows you how much money you spend, how many projects you have, how many virtual resources you have in this project, and how many cloud service providers you use. The project is a layer of aggregation of the virtual resources, starting from the virtual machines, ending up with the network, security groups, applications, Kubernetes. We have two flavors of Kubernetes, etc. Here on the top, we have different tabs related to the analytics and the cost management. So when we go to expense analysis, we can add cloud service providers, and we see everything. So starting from the virtual machines, ending up with the API calls through our API gateway. Statistics provides you with the helicopter outlook on the virtual resources. So for example, when we click on the virtual machines, we see all the virtual machines, different status of those statuses of these virtual machines, providers, and what is more important, the utilization in the real time of the underlying virtual resources like CPU, RAM, and storage. When we go to the resource analysis, we look into the behavior of the workloads inside the clusters or inside the instances, and we predict. So we do the extrapolations and the predictions on the utilization of these resources. So here on the left is historical data, here on the right is a prediction, and we know how many of like cores, RAM, and storage we will be utilizing by the end of this period. And what also our customers, they really like to use this dependency tracker. So they always aware where they have all the instances, how much money do they spend on a specific cloud service provider, and which location, et cetera, et cetera. And on top of that, we also have the advisor. It's another set of algorithms that look into the behavior of your workloads on these extrapolations that we do, and then we provide you with the suggestions. And if you apply all these recommendations, you still can get more in savings. And the beauty of this platform, so you know the cost of each action. So when you click on the resize instance button, first of all, you get into this recommendation. So you see this instance, all the tags, you know the team that has spun up this instance, the environment, so you can add more tags. You see the recommendation, and here on the right, you see all the available options for you to resize this instance into. It is like super important, and I want to show you how it is easy and understand, because we are talking about the different cloud environments, we are talking about the different center of excellences, and we are saying that okay, people need to hire high-skilled professionals to be able to manage the different cloud service providers. And we are saying at them, okay, not necessarily you need to hire a high-skilled professionals. Let's do with the VM example. So you click, okay, deploy a VM, and we say we want to deploy it in North America, So we say apply, and we pick Azure, AWS, and Google, and we say, okay, 4, 16, and 32 in storage. And here it is on the right. You see there's Google, 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 then AWS, etc. So the cheapest one is Google in Ohio. It's 92 euros or $100. Do I need AWS in this case? No, I don't. I mean, if I don't care if I'm expanding into the US, I just need the cheapest one, the cheapest instance that suits my requirements. Okay, Ohio is good. Google is good enough. I mean, Google is a big company. And the next step, we just need to say, okay, there is a multi-cloud network in the United States, which is disabled. We can enable this in the settings. If we want to get this instance connected to this network, we will enable the network. If not, we proceed with the isolated instance. We assign SSH key, and that's it, period. You don't need to be a high-skilled professional to start deploying the VMs. And the same applies to applications, to microservices. When we go to the applications, there is a set of applications in different verticals like DevOps, network, databases, security, backup. So let's say we want to deploy, I don't know, database. Let's do MongoDB. And we say, okay, we want to launch it in the VMs. And we want to have a replication cluster. And then we assign the primary node. And there's the same wizard, right? So you simply pick up the cheapest available instance in a location that you prefer as a primary node. You do the same with the secondary node. And you click create application. And as I said before, we have this multi-cloud networking backbone that physically connects different cloud service providers, one with another. We do the load balancing in case of an outage. So for example, your primary node failed. So your secondary node is still up and running with another cloud service provider. We do like load balancing when your primary node got back alive. So we redistribute the workloads and you get your data consistently stored at the primary node as well. Getting back to the networking question, it is an important thing to mention because with the network, first of all, we've made it available across the globe. So you can, first of all, connect, like enable or disable different regions across the globe, like Europe, America, Asia, and Australia. And you can also allow or disallow or enable or disable the cross-regional connections. And it's up to you to decide. If you want your data to be stored in the United States of America or in Europe, if there are like specific regulations, you simply disable these other regions and you stay within your existing region. And what is important, we also have invented the mechanism that helps you to manage the policies for the different instances in a single security group where you have these instances interconnected. So you see like AWS, Azure, Google, etc., etc., etc. And again, super simple. You just create the rule and you say, okay, all the encrypted JRE from this specific source goes to a specific destination. And that's it. And you save changes. And this new rule will be applied to all of these different instances across the variety of cloud service providers. And the last thing is the Kubernetes. So the Kubernetes, everyone talks about the Kubernetes. Everyone uses Kubernetes or try to use Kubernetes. The thing is that we have built the multi-cloud, purely agnostic Kubernetes as a service where you can easily add nodes, worker nodes across the cloud service providers. You can create the auto-scaling groups. I'll show you here. So these are 3 nodes distributed between Google, AWS, and Azure, Germany, United Kingdom, and Netherlands. And on top of that, so you can connect your domain, you have your monitoring. So you say, okay, let's do the monitoring by nodes, and you have all the information with the utilization of all the underlying resources that you have in your Kubernetes environment. With all the operators, with everything, with the network, with the egress, with the storage providers, everything is here. And it's super easy for you to manage this, to understand this, to read these logs, to export them, to manage the cluster. So I said, okay, we want to create an auto-scaling policy. So we click Add Auto-Scaling Policy, and we say, okay, we want to scale with AWS in London, and this is the main instance we need. And we want to scale using 100% of the spot instances. And that's it. So in case our application feels that it needs to scale, we will be looking for this instance, picking up the cheapest available instance, and scaling the workloads into this cheapest instance. So long story short, very understandable. I think people, our customers, they really enjoy working with the platform because it's super clear and it's super unified, and they can manage and provision their workloads with several clicks, and they can export the data, and in case they need automation, they can use our API gateway. So that's the platform.
Yeah, demo as well. It's going to be very difficult to try to replicate this with other tools and technologies without going through different layers of complex things and different native features. It's all in there through abstraction, and I love the fact it's completely configurable. For example, if you have to go to a sovereign cloud and you can't transmit your data outside the country, you can just simply disable those systems and do so in a central place versus worrying about something being returned on, things like that. So the common control aspect of it and the abstract control aspect of it, I think, is really real value is. And remember, that's the way we deal with complexity. We deal with it. We have abstraction and automation and the tools and technologies to do it. And this kind of provides both. And it's probably a poster child for how that stuff is done and how costs are managed and how you manage the infrastructure effectively. So what would be the takeaway that you would talk to clients about after they see this demo? In other words, what would your actions be? What do you need to go consider?
Yeah, so we normally tell them, okay, guys, it's a free of charge thing. There is no risk. You got to give it a try. If you think it is too good to be true, take the smaller piece of your environment, for example, test environment. There is no risk if you proceed with the test environment. Let's set up a POC, and we'll show you how this platform will change your life and the perception of being cloud agnostic. So that's what we normally pitch to our customers and prospects.
So I'm going to have a link in the description below to the white paper and also how to reach out to your company to book a demo. But how would you advise someone to best reach out to Emma?
So first of all, there is a web page where you can book a demo with us. Everyone who books the demo with us will receive $100 exam voucher for a major cloud service provider of their choice. And also, if we are a gold sponsor at reInvent this year, if any one of you guys attended the reInvent and you want to meet us in person, there is a booth number 1382 at AWS reInvent this year in Las Vegas. So we're happy to meet you there. And again, so we can schedule something, book a demo, whatever, through the web page that I've mentioned.
Yeah, reInvent's another word for cloud computing Woodstock. So everybody's going to be there. And so make sure to check it out. Stop by 1382. Check out and get a quick demo. I think it's going to be behooving to you. Everybody has this problem. It's like back pain. I run into it all the time. And the ability to kind of explain people how to solve it is a difficult reach to make it happen. I made courses about it, things like that. And what's great about what Dmitry just showed us, not only explained conceptually how you solve it, but he showed us how you solve it in real time. So go check it out. I think this is going to be applicable in many of the different problem domains that I see out there. And if you're not using this, you're probably losing money now. So at least make sure that you look at it and get into it. And like Dmitry says, this low risk stuff. Dmitry, I could not be happier to have you on the show. I appreciate you coming by and talking to us about complexity, heterogeneity, and also a solution to make it happen both conceptually and to take it to the next level. So I hope you guys have fun at reInvent.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your time, and thanks for having me. It was a beautiful conversation, and happy to meet you all at reInvent.
Well, everybody's going to check you out. Again, links in the description. Please check them out.